Hi everyone, welcome to Must Read Monday. My name is Dabney. I'm the young adult librarian with the Twin Lakes Libraries and I use they, them pronouns. For today's episode, I'm doing something different. So I've been trying to grow a teen book club here at the library, and this month, one of our teen volunteers had recommended the book for us to read, Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, and I had not read it. So I binge read it over the last couple nights. Like the first night, I read 200 pages. The last night, I finished the book. And I have to say, I absolutely loved it. And it's pretty different from what I've been reading mostly, like right now. So to me, it kind of felt like sort of refreshing and got me really excited for reading the second book, which is Ruthless Vows. So first of all, I love this cover. I like the design a lot. And, I had read the summary before, but I don't know. I kind of have like a forever TBR going on, so I didn't I wasn't like, oh, this sounds good, but I don't know if I'm going to read it. And then I kind of heard wildly different people's takes on what this book was like. So one person was like, "Oh, it's very whimsical or whatever," and then somebody else, it was in a list of dark romance, YA dark romance, and I read it and I was like, I don't think it falls into either of those categories for me personally. So if I had to describe this, last night I was thinking about it and I was like, it's very You Have Bewitched Me, Body and Soul, which if you haven't seen the 2005 Pride and Prejudice movie, you need to. It's got those kind of Darcy, Lizzie vibes. It reminded me extremely of You've Got Mail, so much. And so kind of mixing those two up, and also with the adventurous kind of fun, I don't even know, drama or whatever of Pirates of the Caribbean with Elizabeth Swann and Will Turner. So that was kind of the vibe for me. And I said it reminded me of You've Got Mail, and I realized people might not know that movie anymore, but when I was a teenager, I loved that movie. And that premise is that you've got Meg Ryan playing someone who has a small, very cute, independent children's bookstore, and Tom Hanks is playing one of the CEOs of this big corporate bookstore, so kind of like Barnes and Noble, maybe, except bigger. And his store, Fox Books, is moving right down the road from her bookstore, and there's this whole thing is it gonna put her store out of business? How is she gonna survive? And they had met each other in her bookshop before she knew that he was the person behind this Fox Books, and he didn't let on who he was. And so they had this very cute interaction, and she was kind of oh. And then she finds out oh my gosh, this guy, he's gonna put me out of business. So they have a confrontation, and from then on it's very but the divine rivals of it all is that they've also been corresponding, emailing each other. They met anonymously online, and so they've developed this friendship, and they're starting to have feelings, and she starts sharing about what's going on with her business, kind of hey, I know we don't usually talk about these things, but can I tell you what's going on? And he's yeah, I am great at business. I'm going to give you great advice. And anyways, he ends up discovering her identity. She still doesn't know who he is. And so he's now on this mission to get her to fall in love with him as who he is, while she's also like falling in love with the version she knows online. Anyways, that's what's happening. It's like trying to mesh those two identities together. So, divine rivals. You have Iris, and she is started working at this paper, and Roman is her rival. So they're both competing to see who is going to become a columnist in the paper, and wildly different backgrounds. So Roman's family is like very wealthy and influential. Iris is like working class. She's like barely hanging in there. Her brother has gone off to war. He's been recruited in this war between gods, and he's left her alone with her mom. And her mom is, I don't know if she was an alcoholic before all this started, but she starts going downhill fast. So Iris is trying to keep it all together, and what's going on in her personal life is starting to affect how things go in her professional career. And she's been writing letters to her brother, Forrest, and she's been putting them under the door of her wardrobe. And the letters are disappearing, so she's like, I don't know where these letters are going. So finally, she's kind of like at a breaking point. She writes this like very emotional letter to Forrest, kind of being like, I can't believe like you would leave us like this, and like, what am I supposed to do? It's very like personal. And she gets a reply back, and it just says, I am not Forrest. She's just like, well, who have I been writing to? Like, give me back my letters, like, all this stuff. Because the person who's been getting her letters is Roman, and, you know, he kind of knew who she was from the beginning. Because she says something, I think, about working at the paper. And so he's known as Iris all along. But he finally feels compelled to, like, reach back out and be like, hey, I'm not your brother. Your brother's not getting your letters. So they start corresponding to each other. And end up both sharing, like, more personal things. And basically, like, developing this relationship over a letter. Well, meanwhile, of course, Iris doesn't know Roman knows, and she's going into work and treating him the same way, like she's always treated him, which is like being kind of like snarky rivals, like. But he's kind of started to try to reach out a little bit and try to like make that connection with her, and you know she's very confused about all that, of course. So yeah, that's what's going on. Sorry, I just realized I'm just spoiling the whole book, but so that's going on, and then Iris decides after she doesn't get the columnist position at the paper, she's going to leave and she's going to be a war correspondent, which is like a very risky job. And the war setting is kind of similar to World War I with trench warfare, but with a magical element because it's like two gods. You know, there's, I think it's Decree, I don't know how to pronounce that, but he's kind of like this dark god from the underworld who's out to like punish mortals because this goddess Inva didn't want to stay with him and she left him and he's mad about it, right? And so his forces are just basically trying to take over, and so she is there to report on what she sees. And I'm just gonna leave it there, but to say things just, they kick off, and it is very good, and the romance continues to develop. There's so many big revelations, especially at the end of the book, but I loved it. I thought it was like super sweet, and just really, really got me in my feels. I loved all the supportive characters in it, and I am just, like, the way this ended on a cliffhanger, I'm like, okay, next day, I'm checking out this book, and I know what happens next. So yeah, you should definitely read them.